Hi and welcome back. Okay, so let's kind of pick up things from where we had left it in the previous session. So we had gone in and created these two controllers for the registration and login operation, and the process was fairly simple. We just fetch the information from the request body, which is sent by the post method, and then we have a few safety checks here for making sure that all the fields have been given as an input, and if there's a pre-existing user or if the username is already taken, it will go in and throw us errors. Else we are just going in and creating up an entry into our database. Now let's just see if this goes in and works out as it should. Okay, so the overall idea is that, see, when we go in, so this is my database over here. Okay, so the idea here is that if we go in and fire this particular HTTP request, it should go in and create an entry in this database of mine, right? So let's see. All right, so what you're gonna do is let's just jump back in and start up a server. Let's see if it had caused in a few errors before. Okay, so we're getting an error. Okay, so what's the first one? Require express. Okay, I think I forgot. Yes. I should have put it in square brackets. There you go. Okay, so that's one. Okay, we have another one. Okay, login control. So we haven't exported it. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, so this is our user controller. What I'm going to do is let's just go in and export our login controller as well as our register controller. So I'm going to say module.exports. And then we can just go in and pass both of these. Okay, so login controller, paste it, comma, we have our register controller. I'm gonna come in here, paste it as well. Okay, and then the next thing is to get them imported. There you go. So you can just go in and bring it to the end of the variable name, press Alt Control Space, and you should get the option in VS Code. Okay, and once that is done, yes, and our server is running as it should. Okay, now how exactly do we intend to go in and check or validate this? Because I'm not going to directly jump in and integrate this to my front end, but rather we'll use something called as Postman. Okay, so the idea of Postman is really simple. It's a really good tool which can help us to go in and check our backend components, whether it is all of the user routes that we created are working correctly or not. So as you can see, I put it to 8080 because that's my current port. And if I send in a request, you can see API is running. So that's a default port that we had specified, right? So in here, if I go into index.js, I'm going to close this. So you can see for the root directory, it's just saying API is running. Now, what we're going to do is let's just check the register route that we created if it is working incorrectly. So I'm going to go into Postman over here and say /user. Now inside of this we had register, right? Okay, now we also need to change the method here because it's a post method. And so let's just see. So what we're going to do is we'll have to pass in some data, right? So there you go. So I already have put in this data here. So this is name, email, and then password. So these are the three information that is going to be present within my request body, and we're going to go in and send it. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting an error saying that cannot post /user/register. Okay, let's see what the problem here is. Okay, so apparently, okay, let's just check our routes here for a second, maybe. Let's go in and wait a second. So it's /login and register, and yeah. Okay, so I guess this should fix it because I went in and wrote user slash, whereas it should have been /user. Okay, so that might be one of the things. Let's see it in here. Let's go on and send a cannot destructure the property of Swenso as it's undefined. Okay, okay, this is fairly fixable. So if we just go, we just want it to be able to take in the JSON information because, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say app.use. So we getting the data, but it's not getting these, like we're not able to destructure it. So we want express, let's say .json. We want to be able to use this particularly. So if I go into Postman now, Okay, let's just send in a request. So we should be able to, okay, let's see. Okay, okay, let's just see it in our database. Okay, this seems to be an activity. Okay, so we'll go into browse collections. And yeah, there you go. So as you can see, our data has landed up in our server. Okay, so we have our data, which is ending up in a server. So we have the name, the email, and the password. This is the same name and everything that I had passed in using Postman. Okay, so the data is ending up within our database. Okay, so let's try to go in and wrap this up. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be doing. Okay, so we have all of the data up. But another thing is we want the data to kind of be, like if you're going in and putting in the information out, we want the data to be, or the password. Okay, we want the specific password to kind of be, what should I say, like encrypted. Okay, we want the data that we have over here to be encrypted so that we can perform we can send in the data and everything else. Okay, so what we can do here is, okay, so we can send in, okay, what we'll do, okay, let's do it in this manner. So we'll say if the user gets created, we can go in and send in a response for this particular call, which is dot. So we want to go in and send in a okay, like everything is good status. So let's just go in and say status. We'll return 201, and now we need to go and parse in our information, right? So I'm gonna say JSON, and comes the main part. Okay, so according to our route that, okay, according to a model, the first information that we're going to end up with will be the ID, right? So I'm going to go with this. Let's say ID. So that's going to be the user dot ID. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to need, okay. And then right after this, we'll have our name, which is going to be user dot name. And then we need our email, which is going to be user dot email. We are also going to need whether the user is an admin or not, right? Because yeah, so because if the person is an admin, then we'll go and specify the admin controls to that person. Okay, so I'll say user. So we'll add this in. It's not mandatory as in such for the time being, but we'll add this in and we'll implement it. And now comes the part where we want to go in and generate a JWT token for this particular user. Okay, because we want to do authentication and authorization. So I'm going to be generating a JWT token for this particular user. So we're going to create a property, let's call it as token, and we'll have to generate it. Okay, so what we can do is we can create a function, let's call it as generate token, and to this we'll go in and pass our user ID. Okay, so user dot ID, there you go. Okay, now comes the part where we'll have to create this particular function. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and create up a new folder here. Let's call it as so we want it mainly in for the configuration part, right? Okay, let's just call it as config. I'm gonna put this out in the root scheme. There you go. Yes. Okay. So inside of this, let's just create in our generate token function. Okay. So for basically doing this, we are gonna be requiring. Okay. So we have a few bunch of errors. We'll sort it out. Okay, so okay, so what exactly we have to do? So the very first thing that we're going to be needing for generating this JWT token is the library itself. So we're going to do npm install JSON web token JWT. Okay, So let's just go in and get this installed. Now, the idea here is really simple. If you want to go in and generate a JWT token, it requires three things. Okay, so let me just go in and get it imported over here. Okay, so you're gonna say JSON web token. Now the thing over here is we are able to go in and easily generate a token by using the sign function. Okay, but the thing here is it takes three things, which is basically gonna be the value that you provided it. In our case, it's going to be the ID. Then it comes with the secret, and then after how much time, it's some additional information where we can go in and specify after how much time it goes in and expires, right? Okay, so what you're going to do here is let's just create in that function, which is generate token. All right, and what we want to do is we want to go in and return our token. So for this particular purpose, we're going to use the sign function. Takes three parameters. Okay, now we are going to be passing a value, right, which is the ID. Okay, we're going to be passing the ID here, and that's going to be the first thing, which is what exactly do you want to go in and generate the token for. So ID, and then what we want is we want a secret. Okay, so yeah, again, not something you want people to go in and know about. So JWT secret. Now you can go and give whatever you want as a secret. I'm gonna give bytes. This is gonna be helping us to go in and provide in the proper authentication here. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is where is our generated routes node modules generate token. Yeah, there you go, generate token. Sorry, yeah. So what we want is we want the process.env. We want our JWT secret. Okay, I hope this is the same name that I gave here, JWT secret. Yeah, there you go. And the third thing is after how much time do you want it to go and expire. Okay, so I'll say expires in so it's just some, you can go and customize this. There's a bunch of options that you get. For the time being, I'm just going to say, yeah, this thing goes in and expires in 30 days. Let's just go in and get this imported, exported here, and then we'll import it in our user controller. Okay, so let's just go in and say module dot exports is equal to generate token. Okay, so this will go in and ensure that our our token, this generate token function of ours, goes in and gets exported, which we'll go in and require here. So control space, get it imported. Let's just double check it, config. Yeah, okay, so this is also good. And then we don't want semicolon, we just want, because it's going to be present within the object of ours, right? So there you go. And if it is created, it is all in all good. Okay, so if the user gets created, fine. If it is not, then we are going to go in and just return back up an error, right? So, or throw up an error. So we'll say throw error. We need a message, throw new error, because we're creating an object, an error object. And we'll say registration. Okay, for the time being, let's just say registration error. And we'll also give in back, we'll have to send something back, right? So response dot status, no, response dot status error. Okay, there you go. So that kind of takes care of it. So we've implemented the registration part. Okay, so now what we want to do here is let's just see. We're gonna just go in and perform the task once up again. Okay, and then okay, just go in for this. Let me take you back to Postman here. Okay, so I am gonna go in and do another request. So let's see. Okay, so I'm doing one more call. So for the second call, as you can see, the username already exists. Okay, it's giving me an error saying that the username already exists because I'm passing in this, right? So let's change in the email over here. Okay, so I'm gonna specify 4. Okay, and I'm gonna click on send. Username is already taken. Okay, so that's also pretty good. So we'll have to change this. I'm gonna put bones 3. And there you go. Okay, now you can see we're getting back our, so this is what we have. This is our generated JWT token. And this kind of will help us in at the later stages for our authorization. Okay, so yeah, so we are getting the result back here as it should. We are also generating a JWT token. Let's just give a look into our output browser. Okay, so this is our database. And if I just refresh this, we should have one more entry made right now. So just give it a look, and there you go. So as you can see, we have the next whatever registration that we made. You can see we have the data available up over here as well. Okay, so this is pretty good. Let's keep moving. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna do is complete out our function for the login. Okay, because we need to go in and do the login operation as well. So for basically being able to do this, the process is gonna be fairly simple as well. I'm gonna go, oh, it's a bit too much. So we'll just have to specify this. Okay, so I'm gonna take my express async handler and wrap it initially itself. Okay, and okay, so let's see. So the very first thing I'll have to go in and do is take in the data from my from a request body. Okay, so we have response, request. Here also we're gonna directly just destructure it. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and destructure this here and here itself. So we'll have the name and the password, right? So these are the two information that we are taking, or we can just give yeah, name and password. Okay, so we'll go with the username and then the password. And now what we want is we want to go in and fetch that corresponding user's password that we have stored already, right? So what we want to do here is we'll have to go in and use our user model here back again. Okay, so I'll say const, let's give it a name as user. So we need to fetch it. So we'll say user model dot find one. So this is to fetch the information of this particular user. Okay, so we're going to fetch his name, and then what we're going to do is just specify, just go in and check this. Okay, so we have the data, we fetch the data, we have the data that is currently given as an input. Now what we want to do is we'll have to go in and check whether the whether the passwords match. So for this, the process is going to be really simple. We can use up our so we're going to get back one here. So I'll say user dot match password, and then we're going to go in and pass it the password that we got locally, right? So this is password. All right. And the thing is, this particular method is an asynchronous one. So apparently we'll have to go in and make this function async. And here I'm going to specify this as await. Okay, because it's an asynchronous one. Okay, let me just drop all of this. Let me just drop all of this inside of circular brackets. And also, we'll only do this if the user is present, right? Because if you are able to fetch a user with that name, then we'll do this. Okay. Else, we'll throw an error. Throw a new error saying that either the user ID or the password, okay, is incorrect, invalid username or password. Okay, so let's just specify this. Now what exactly to do if this is all good? So what you're gonna do is we're gonna return back the data. We'll go and return back the information here as again the object ID. So user dot ID. We're going to be returning back everything. Name. So I'm going to say user dot name, and then email, email, which is going to be user dot email. Okay. So as you can see, it takes a bit of time, but is admin. User dot is admin. Okay. So we'll have to add this one in, and then we'll go for token. Again, we're going to use generate token so that we are able to fetch that particular token as well. Okay. So this requires the ID. There you go. And that should kind of go in and take care of the rest. Okay. So we're going to go in and just return this particular value. And that's it. And it does it. So the next thing we'll have to do is we kind of want to go in and encrypt it. Okay, because yeah, we have went in and created this set of like we are now able to go in and pass in the information. Okay, we created these two specific routes that can be used to go in and pass in the information, but the thing here is the password is available in our database as it is. So for example, if I'm going in and let's just say, okay, I'm going to jump into Postman here very quickly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a login request. Okay, so user / login is going to be a post request as well. And here we are going to be going in and passing in the name and the password. Okay, so name and the password. There you go. And let's just go in and click on send. So cannot destructure as this particular thing is undefined. Okay, let's just see what the problem here is. So the request body, apparently we are sending in the data to /login, right? Okay, this is correct. So we are passing in the information, and apparently for some reason when you're doing the post method, we are doing the post method here itself. Yeah, so /login is also correct. Index /user is also correct. Okay, let's just see what the problem is. So yes, this will be our next task altogether, where we will be trying to go in and encrypt the password while we are sending it to our database for storage purposes. And also, so we have the login controller ready, we have the register controller ready. So what we'll do in the next session is we'll be going in and implementing the encryption as well as integrating it with our front end, so that in case you go in and you put in the user ID, password, email and everything, and you're able to sign in, register, as well as, log into the application. So this is going to be, so this is kind of all the operations you want with that of the user. So the user will be able to go in and, log in and register. So this is what we are doing in for the time being. So that would be all for this particular video. We'll see you in the next one.